people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
The undisputed super featherweight champion of the world, Alicia, the Bumgarner.
That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Set to go down on the undercard of Lamont Roach's next fight on ProBox. We're going to be seeing an unbeaten up-and-comer from right here in the US of A that goes by the name Rios.
Campaigns in a bantamweight division. Bantamweight, that's 118 pounds.
Where Dina Thorsland reigns as unified WBO and WBC champion, where Miyo Yoshida reigns as IBF champion. Shernika Johnson, she's got the WBA. That's where Rihanna campaigns, and she's set to face seasoned veteran and former EBU champion Mary Romero of Spain.
It's the same Mary Romero that gave Amy Timlin her first professional loss.
Could she end up giving Rihanna her first professional loss? Rihanna Rios sports professional record: 7 wins with no losses, no draws, 1 recorded knockout. To Mary Romero, who sports professional record of 10 wins with 5 losses, no draws, 2 knockouts, having been knocked out once in 15 professional bouts.
Rihanna is a southpaw, where Mary Romero is an orthodox fighter.
Rihanna last saw action in May of last year in that way. It's been about a year since young Rihanna last saw action. She fought 2 times last year and 3 times the year before that, but her activity has slowed as of late, and this will be her first fight of this year against arguably the most experienced fighter she will have ever fought.
So Rihanna was last in action in May of last year, whereas Mary saw action more recently in March of this one.
Opposite the ring, Basilia Mancilla, who she beat by way of a points decision. She was rebounding off that knockout loss to Dina Thorsland. Now that Mary's back in the winner's bracket, she's going to be facing an unbeaten up-and-comer in Rihanna Rios.
Rihanna's good.
Though most may not be familiar with her or her methodology, as she's not with a major promotional outfit, has yet to have boxed on a major platform. So how to best describe Rihanna Rios' style? She's a boxer-puncher.
Balanced.
Composed and poised. For a fighter with only 7 professional fights, I like how she maintains her shape under pressure, giving herself enough room to work.
Not losing form, just taking a half step back to give herself room to work, then exploding.
See that 3-punch combination? Very good.
She's still very relaxed.
She turns the tables. The earmark of the boxer-puncher is they can box when they need to, punch when they need to, move when they need to.
Whatever's appropriate in the situation. They're not going to spend all night on their bike like a pure boxer would, but they're not going to spend all night coming forward the way a pressure fighter would. They've got the best of both.
They can box and punch. It's all in the name. Boxer puncher.
Rihanna's a boxer puncher.
Very good physical dimensions for a bantamweight. Good size.
Yeah.
Kind of physical dimensions to where one day she could move up, grow into 122, as high as 126.
One day.
But now she's campaigning at 118 pounds. She's about to fight Mary Romero, and Mary is best described as a pressure fighter, a come-forward combination puncher. And we've often talked about how boxer punchers have a stylistic advantage over pressure fighters because pressure fighters only have one gear, one way of fighting a fight, whereas boxer punchers are more streamlined, more nuanced, and adaptable.
They can use the pressure fighter's pressure, their aggression, against them, to walk them into punches and walk them into counters.
Rihanna is a lot younger than Mary Romero. She's about 10 or 11 years younger. Haven't seen them side by side yet, but she looks to be bigger than Mary Romero and noticeably faster.
I like Rihanna to win a fight.
Speed and size are going to help. I feel like Rihanna may land with enough authority that she will take the reins and take control from Mary Romero, end up backing her off. That the aesthetic of this fight for Rihanna is going to look like the fight that she already had with Muni Trejo.
The one on screen.
The one you're watching right now. that there are going to be moments where Rihanna is hanging back and maintaining her shape, waiting for the right opportunity to explode. And when she does, Mary will be on the receiving end of a lot of punches, like Trejo was.
This fight is gonna look like that one did.
Currently, Rihanna Rios ranks in at number 3 via the WBA's last set of updated rank standings. It's conceivable that after this fight with Mary Romero, she will have gained considerable ground and brought herself that much closer to perhaps facing Shernika Johnson, the current reigning WBA champion.
There's a lot of good fighters at 118 pounds.
Juliana Acevedo, Bree Howling, Rihanna Rios.
All unbeaten.
Rihanna, who's going to be taking the next step in her career opposite the ring, Mary Romero, on the undercard of Lamont Roach's next fight next month, late next month on the 28th. Keep your eyes peeled for that on ProBox. In men's super lightweight news, Jack Catterall has revealed that this past Saturday's win over Josh Taylor was his last fight on his existing Matchroom contract and that he is now a free agent. After that fight, he went as far as calling out Teofimo Lopez and Ryan Garcia, saying that he would be willing to fight Ryan at any weight where Ryan is comfortable. So is now the time to leave Matchroom permanently? Has he outgrown that partnership?
Some fighters do.
In a very general sense, it is possible for a fighter's relationship with a particular promoter to come to an end, to reach its expiration.
Usefulness.
Is that the case for Jack Catterall? Is it time to go?
Fuck no.
No, it's not. No. The people at Matchroom gave Jack Catterall's boxing career more traction, stability, and momentum than he ever had before.
They delivered.
They kept him busy, kept him active on a regular schedule of fights, and at the end of the deal, they delivered him a big fight. He's now coming off of a big win, which sets him up for other big fights.
He should re-sign.
He may want to fight Teofimo Lopez. And he may have it in his head that he can parlay his free agency into a multi-fight deal with, say, Top Rank that caps off with a Teofimo Lopez fight.
He wants Lopez.
And he might have it in his head that he should go over there to get Lopez. But you know who was just over there?
Who?
Arnold Barboza was just over there, alongside Teofimo. And in the end, he didn't get the Teofimo fight, even though he wanted it, and he was vocal about it, and they were on the same side of the street. In the end, he didn't get it, so he left. And he went to Golden Boy.
What are you saying?
That just because you want Teofimo Lopez and just because you signed to a Top Rank, for example, doesn't mean you'll actually get him.
Stay with Matchroom.
I think he should stay with Matchroom because Matchroom already hosts a robust stable of 140-pound fighters, and there is a title right there on that side of the street that you can fight for. Granted, it's a dangerous fight, but so is a Lopez fight.
What fight are you talking about?
A Subriel Matias fight. Reigning IBF champion Subriel Matias. He's right there on Matchroom. He's on Matchroom. Liam Pado's on Matchroom. Regis Prograis is on Matchroom.
Dalton Smith.
Even though Devin Haney's not signed to a multi-fight deal with Matchroom, he does a lot of business with them. They have a good working relationship. I think that Matchroom has enough going on at 140 pounds that Jack Catterall should stay there. Not stay there for the sake of just staying with Matchroom to stay with Matchroom, but because they have a lot going on at that weight. And that's where he campaigns.
Stay with Matchroom.
I think that's a more fertile environment for a 140-pound fighter. I understand that the titles are divided, the titles are scattered, that Isaac Cruz, he's with the PBC. Teofimo, he's with Top Rank.
Devin is basically a free agent.
Subriel is with Matchroom. But when you think about who's got the most prize stallions at this weight, who's doing the most shows, has the most fighters, has the most going on at 140, that really is Matchroom more so than some others.
He should stay there.
Stay at Matchroom. That's the latest as it pertains to 140 pounds upstairs at 147. Conor Benn posted this image of himself to his Instagram stories that was reposted by unbeaten up-and-comer Suleiman Cissoko with a caption that reads, "Let's go, #WBC. What do you think they're talking about?
Why do you think they tagged Eddie Hearn, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, and Riyadh Season? What's going on here?
Yesterday news broke that the World Boxing Council moved to have Terence Crawford named a champion in recess at 147 pounds.
Now that he's moving up to 154.
What that essentially means is that he's not WBC champion at welterweight anymore, and his title is up for grabs.
Coincidentally, Suleiman Cissoko and Conor Benn are the number 1 and number 2 guys in the WBC's ranked standings.
So what if, now that Terence Crawford's WBC title is now vacant, Suleiman Cissoko and Conor Benn Ben are set to fight for it as part of Riyadh's season with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh's blessing.
What if?
Wait a minute. Isn't Mario Barrios the WBC's interim champion at this weight? WBC interim champion.
Yeah, but he ain't got no major money behind him.
And in some ways, neither does Suleiman Cissoko, but Conor Benn, he does.
He's got Matchroom behind him, and Matchroom is in bed with Turki Al-Sheikh, who's also in bed with the World Boxing Council. You see the framework.
But what about the BBBOC? And what about Conor Benn's suspension? I mean, isn't he under suspension right now? And doesn't that prevent him from boxing in the United Kingdom?
It does, but I don't know if that's going to prevent him from boxing in the United States, and that's where he has been boxing his last 2 fights.
That's where he may end up boxing in his next fight for what looks to be the newly vacated WBC title. That might be what's going on and what they're hinting at on their Instagram stories. I'm not against it.
Aren't they fucking over Mario Barrios?
I'd say they are, but that's what I've come to expect from the World Boxing Council, from the WBC, because they're in bed with Turki Al-Sheikh, and because Turkey's in bed with Matchroom, and Matchroom promotes Conor. If they can get him a title, they're gonna get him a title.
And if they have to go around Mario Barrios to do it, they will.
So where up until now it looked like Mario Barrios was in a pole position to become the next WBC champion, behind the scenes, he might get beat to it by Conor Benn. Rather, the winner of Conor Benn versus Suleiman Cissoko.
But he's still interim champion. If he gets while the getting is good, he can fight the winner. Go over to Matchroom.
PBC ain't got a whole lot going on except for that Gervonta Davis versus Frank Martin show next month, but that's it. That's the only show they're doing next month. They haven't announced anything for July. They haven't announced anything for August.
What the hell are you still doing over there?
Go to Matchroom. Subriel Matias did. Jaron Ennis did. Go to Matchroom.
I was thinking about it over the weekend after the fight. I thought, Kevin Lorena, Bridgeweight, defense, yeah, that's a great option. But then names like Parker, I look at Parker and I said, great run of form, very well known, probably a top 4 heavyweight with his current run of form at the moment, beating Wilder and Zhang. But that's the fight that I'd be happy and very open to. I think it's a winnable fight for myself. I think that currently, with the way that the landscape and heavyweight is built up, there isn't really many fights for him despite his run of form. So that is a fight that I would love and probably entertain next, or will definitely entertain next.
I saw some people putting the Dillian Whyte name to you. I'm not 100% sure what Dillian's situation is at the moment, but that could be if he was active and back in the UK, would that be a fight that interests you?
Yeah, but that's more for me on a personal one because I don't like him. But I would be up for that just because I want to have a fight with him. So we'll see.
That is Lawrence Okolie on the heels of his big win. Well, not so much big, but important. It was an important win for Lawrence. It was important that he win that Lukas Rozensky fight. It was important that he pick up that Bridgerweight title, because if you have any aspirations of making it as a heavyweight, you have to prove that you can beat the Lukas Rozenskys of the world.
The talent pool's a lot thinner at Bridgerweight than it is at heavy.
So he's entertaining fights with the likes of a Joseph Parker, a Dillian Whyte, who he says he dislikes on a personal level. He's even gone as far as calling out reigning undisputed heavyweight champion
Usyk.
He called out Usyk. So let's get down to brass tacks. Out of these 3 names, these 3 fights, which ones are realistic?
Usyk isn't. He's all tied up with Tyson Fury in what could be their rematch.
Let's not waste each other's time breaking down a fight that, in all likelihood, won't happen. I don't think Usyk and Lawrence are going to end up sharing the ring. The Joseph Parker fight is a little bit more realistic, though not for the immediate future.
Not right now.
But later on, after 2 or 3 more fights, you have to remember that Joseph Parker is actually younger than Tyson Fury, younger than Wilder, younger even than Anthony Joshua. He's in his early 30s.
He's going to be around for a while longer, I think.
Especially now that he's coming off 2 big wins, 2 high-profile wins over Deontay Wilder, over Zhilei Zhang. So I could see Lawrence Okolie versus Joseph Parker happening 2 to 3 fights from now.
And Dillian Whyte?
The Dillian Whyte fight, more so than the aforementioned 2, is a more realistic fight because Dillian is a mercenary. Dillian is a nomad. He has no formal ties to any promotional outfit at this time. So if the people at Sky Sports and Boxer made him an offer that's to his liking, there's nothing stopping him from going over there and fighting Lawrence.
And they could use a guy like Dillian over there.
Irrespective of what you might think of Dillian's boxing ability, his name is a name that moves the needle in the United Kingdom. That if you made a fight between him and Lawrence, it would sell, and you would be able to bill it as a box office fight, a pay-per-view.
Though not straight away.
So here's the caveat. This past Friday, Lawrence Okolie beat Lukas Rozanski for the WBC title. Upon winning that title, he's now under orders to face South Africa's own Kevin Lerena. That's his mandatory challenger.
Right?
Unless you plan on vacating that title so soon after winning it, you have to take care of that guy. And personally, because he's breaking in a new trainer in Joe Gallagher, and because he's only one fight into his Bridgerweight campaign, I think Lawrence should stay there. I think he should fight Kevin, beat him, then go after the only other champion at this weight, Evgeny Tushenko, who holds the WBA title at Bridgerweight.
You think he should stay there?
I do, because Bridgerweight is a safer environment than heavyweight to experiment with a new trainer. He's only been with Joe for one fight.
Just one.
That fight lasted less than one round. He blasted Lukas Rozanski out of there, and he looked good doing it, but those eggs need more bacon.
And a Dillian Whyte fight needs more building.
Dillian Whyte was in action not that long ago opposite the ring Christian Hammer, who retired on his stool very early into the fight. You need to get him some fights too. You get him over to Sky Sports and Boxer, get him 1 or 2 keep busy fights, decent ones.
You think he'd go over there?
He might.
He might.
Doesn't seem like he's all buddy-buddy with Eddie Hearn at this time, and I know of no formal agreement they have to do anything moving forward. So Dillian's a businessman, a shrewd one, and for the right price, Ben Shalom and Boxer, they could convince him to go over there for a 2 to 3 fight deal that caps off with a Lawrence Okolie pay-per-view.
They've got to move fast.
They have to move fast because either Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren could theoretically find use for Dillian Whyte. They could. Before they do, you've got to beat them to the punch.
Make him an offer.
Then hope for the best. Hope that he's on board and he signs on the dotted line. With the proper build-up, you could build up Lawrence Okolie versus Dillian Whyte into a genuine box office fight. I think you could sell out the O2 Arena with a fight like that, but it will take a bit of marination.
Why do you suppose Lawrence Okolie's got an axe to grind with Dillian Whyte?
I don't know. I mean, he said he doesn't like him. Something that may have happened during their time at Matchroom. You know, Lawrence did used to be a Matchroom fighter, and even though Dillian Whyte was never formally signed to Matchroom, he did do a lot of business with them. Who knows? Maybe they crossed paths, or maybe they bumped heads.
Maybe he just doesn't like the guy for the sake of not liking the guy. He doesn't like the way he carries himself, doesn't like the way he talks or dresses. Who the fuck knows? Do you really need an excuse? Do you need a valid reason to dislike someone?
Not really. This is the first semblance of success Lawrence Okolie has had since parting ways with Matchroom, migrating from Matchroom over to Boxer. But you're not out of the woods yet. You won a Bridgerweight title abroad, and that's impressive. That's good.
There's more work needs doing.
The Rozanski fight was the most entertaining fight I've ever seen Lawrence in, and I like the style that he implemented, that he was moving his feet and giving himself room to throw, room enough to get those long arms out there to bring over the right.
Lawrence has been accused in the past of clinching too much, holding too much in a fight.
Because he was moving around this time, not holding his feet, he didn't have to hold. He had room to throw. He's got to keep that up and develop that.
You've got to crawl before you walk.